Ross Chastain used the wall all the way around this racetrack. Logano has been the class of the field.
Check out the big brain on Brad.
Yeah, I need to change my underwear.
With the Easter break behind us, it's time to get back to Cup cars, baby. We had the action of Rockingham, which, if you're not in the Win the Race Discord, I don't know what you're doing, because we had some fun with Mr. Parker Retzlaff, who top 3, top 5, top 10, baby. Big numbers hanging prior to practice and qualifying, so that was a nice little kick to the system. Races were fun. We can talk a little bit about that kind of setup, but I think, I was thinking in my head, like, I know I don't know, it's like logistically if it makes as much sense, but with the like fans wanting places like Rockingham, Bowman Gray, these smaller tracks, does it make sense to just let Xfinity go to those places and then let the Cups just do their thing? I'm not sure in terms of like mechanics and teams and management and all that stuff, if that's even feasible. But I know like they do the Portland the road course while the Cup cars are elsewhere. It could be a way to kind of get your hardcore fans some action, get markets that traditionally don't see NASCAR, or at least haven't seen it in a while, some opportunities, and then obviously let the Cup guys still do their thing. I don't know if it's feasible. You guys can tell me in the comments if I'm crazy, but what do you think about that, Brian?
So I'm very happy that this is what we led off with, because, oh boy, my blood was boiling when I heard people talking about, oh, we need to go to Rockingham. Look how full the crowd is, blah, blah, blah. Do these people not realize the exact reason why NASCAR left these tracks is that the attendance was dropping so low that there was no way for them to make money? And of course it's going to be packed when it's the first time we've came here in over a decade. Like, no shit.
It's like when the NFL sends teams to London or Germany, one-off, amazing. People are going to pack it out. They're going to have so much fun. But when we go 6, 7, 8, 10 games over there, they have a team over there every week. It's not going to be the same.
Well,
it's the novelty. But I do think there is a market in a world where they bring Cup cars maybe once, maybe they have 4 or 5 tracks that they rotate and they mix it into one spot every year. Maybe they move Xfinity there on a more permanent basis and
that's a great idea.
Like stuff like that, where you can give them the exposure maybe once every couple of years. But
the only thing, so like I think that's a fantastic idea, and hopefully NASCAR tunes into this thing, because
I'm sure they're all listening.
If
NASCAR listen, Brian and I will take your money. We'll give you all the consulting you need, and we'll save the sport. That's what we do.
Yeah, so like if they put Rockingham with Bowman Gray, with North Wilkesboro, and maybe a couple other ones that they try to revitalize over the next couple of years into a rotation to where it's like once every 4 years, once every 5 years, Cup comes to this track, I think that would make a lot of sense. But in the same way that Xfinity goes to Portland and that area gets kind of excited for that race, there is not much racing that's going on in the Northwest of America. Whereas in Rockingham, in the Carolinas, that is the hub of stock car racing. And these people have 4 or 5 tracks within a couple hundred miles of each other. So why the hell would NASCAR think that they're going to see increased attendance numbers if they just went to these places 4 or 5 times a year? It doesn't make any sense. And going back to what I said leading into my quick little rant, Cup coming here doesn't make sense financially for NASCAR if it only fits 30,000 seats or whatever it is. One, they're not going to sell enough tickets to make it worth their while. They're going to have to increase concession prices if it becomes a yearly thing. And two, like, yeah, you want to pack the seats, but in the end, it's all about the TV revenue. It really has nothing to do with how many fans' butts are in the stadium.
Yeah, well, and I think to your point, it's going to be hard for, like, the reason they're not at Fontana anymore is because that track didn't make enough money. The lane was worth too much.
Yep.
I think it will also come at the expense of a second Darlington race, a Martinsville race, a Bristol. Like, it'll come at the expense of a track that people love, And I think if you gave them truth serum and said, which one would you have, 2 Darlingtons or a Darlington and a Rockingham, I'd probably go Darlington both times. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Let us know down in the comments thoughts on all of this. But yeah, I mean, we had a week off, Brian, and our brains are just rolling and thinking about all this stuff. We don't even know what to do with ourselves. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it was.
I'm happy NASCAR's back, although it's Talladega, and we talked a little bit
Yeah.
before. Like, make sure you're getting paid out. Take your shots. Don't bet a lot. Get ready for Texas because that's where Brian and I thrive.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for Talladega. I've said this countless times on this show. I think super speedway racing, obviously not when they're fuel saving, but super speedway racing the way it's supposed to be with everybody full throttle is the most aesthetically pleasing and enjoying type of racing to watch on TV. Just
Yeah.
how close they are. It's the type of racing that draws in non-fans. And yes, the traditionalists and the purists, they can complain about it all they want, but if they want the sport to grow, these are the events that NASCAR needs to promote the most because
Yep.
it's most exciting for a non-fan to see this on TV.
And I think it's a perspective we have, being not like diehard 20-year, like
Yeah.
growing up with all these guys. Like, obviously, we watched it when we were younger, but it took a little bit of a break, and we were, obviously have that West Coast vibe. If you do want some more thoughts on kind of big picture stuff, season long stuff, all that kind of stuff, we had Chris Wormy on with us during the break.
Yes.
We talked some, you know, is Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson and even Christopher Bell going to dominate the rest of the way? Is there really like more balance? What do we think about the prices? How are we getting action in the futures market? What are we doing with the cup cars the rest of the way? Like, we just talked a bunch of stuff. I'll link it in the description and at the end of this video. Highly recommend checking that out if you're into NASCAR. It's more of just a discussion, less bets, but I would really appreciate you taking some time to check that out. While you're there, click subscribe, stay around for a while. A lot of you are watching every week and not subscribing. It doesn't cost you a thing, and it does a lot for us. We would really appreciate it if you smash that like, hit your subscribe on the way out. But Brian, we never got a full chance to recap Bristol. So let's recap Bristol from a betting perspective, from DraftKings perspective, and then we'll jump in and talk a little Dega. So let me share my screen here and we can look at the betting card. So, okay, bets on Bristol. I had a hard time getting to a lot of these numbers.
Yeah.
I really wish I put more money on Reddick over Logano, especially after qualifying and stuff, and Logano being in the back. I know this isn't a place where Reddick usually thrives, so obviously that was a reason why it's priced. I think it was plus 110 on race day.
Yeah.
I should have hit it again. I did not. That's okay. Um, but yeah, I didn't love any of the numbers, and I'm glad that I kind of stayed away because it was Kyle Larson's world, and he just ran away with it. It was so funny too because we're like, even Xfinity, they're like, all the tires, and then on Sunday, tires don't matter. Kyle
It
Larson.
was as soon as practice happened, I thought to myself, well, I'm about to take an ass whooping that I haven't seen in quite some time because the uncertainty post practice and qualifying for Bristol was at an all-time high for me. And I didn't really add much. And then, of course, on Sunday, we got nothing what we anticipated after the practice session that made it look like it was going to be a repeat of the spring.
Yeah,
And Kyle Larson just went out and absolutely kicked the crap out of
yeah,
everybody. And funny enough, I had if you go back and you watch our show with Wormy, I mentioned it there too. But early on in the race, I had texted Chris and said, "Well, Kyle Larson plus 150 looks like a good bet," because
yeah.
you could tell right away the tires were not going to wear, and he was just going to kick the shit out of everybody. And sure enough, he did.
Yeah, I had some Larson McElroy parlays on Sunday set up, and I was like, that's actually not a terrible payout. They were both like, I think, like, sub 2-1. And I was like,
Yeah.
that could be. And then I'm like, Rory's not going to win. Like, do I really want to lay that price? And of course he wins. So,
Well, and
um,
then yeah, I even mentioned it on Chris's pre-race poll. I said it's the bed shitter parlay. Like,
yeah,
what what better pairing to have? And of
Yeah.
course, both of them actually come through.
Yeah,
I
kept the sheets clean. Shouts to those
man,
guys. But yeah, the other thing that Wormy mentioned on when we talked to him, which I thought was kind of a good strategy, is if you load up pre and
oh
you get numbers that don't make sense anymore, throw that card away, in your mind, throw it away and build a
yeah,
new card. Like obviously you can do what you can do with your bankroll and don't overextend yourself and all that stuff. But like if you love somebody coming in and they just looked awful in practice and qualifying, didn't start where you expected, didn't see the car that you thought you might, didn't get the
yeah.
best numbers, set that to the side, be like, okay, that's my last week's race. Let's build a new card for this week with if there's stuff I like, and then obviously kind of go from there. So an interesting strategy for sure. So yeah, I rode with Brian on the Busher top 5. Obviously, that didn't come to fruition. Reddick over Logano, that was good. Brad K top Ford and Noah Gragson top Ford. I just got in on prices. I thought there was opportunity there. Obviously, this was Blaney's day and was the best Ford, so it was fine. Obviously, Busher over Priest in qualifying was a nice way to salvage at least a little bit of your day, including, and then you went Blaney over Byron at plus money, which I think was a good bet. I was very anti that bet, but you were smarter than I was there, so nice work there. Otherwise, just a bunch of red, but like I said, didn't go too crazy, and
And the majority of all that too, pre-practice. The only two
yeah.
post-practice and qualifying were Blaney Byron and then the McDowell top 10.
Yeah, so
There was
small loss
nothing.
on both accounts. I actually think I made like fractions of a penny, so
Yeah.
pushed the money around. Still up 16 units on the year. Brian's up four now, a little over 4 units on the year. So good week. We're going into I think a really good part of the schedule for us with Texas, with Kansas, with some fun tracks. But we'll talk some Dega. We'll look at DraftKings too. Obviously, you need Larson over there. Um, this is the best lineup that we built. It was okay. Ended up making money in cash, so it balanced out the day. John Hunter was solid, almost a top 20 day. Ryan Priest was solid. Brad was just kind of riding around. I thought there was at points where he looked good, and then at points where he not so good. Let's see what else we got going on here.
I think it may be
Byron
time
was
to get off the Brad K train.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna put him in the Kyle Busch bucket of guys that just like they're fun names. We know them for a long time. They have some decent history, but that ship has sailed, and
Yeah.
I'm not ready to get in. Like the speed is just not there. Bowman was solid until he wasn't. Um, yeah, not a very good week over on DraftKings. Tyrone Gibbs, baby. Top 3 performance. He's starting to figure it out. Things are starting to click. I'm going to be curious to see if he put in some sim time and whatnot over the break and is ready to kind of reemerge. And if he starts getting posted at 12 and 14, I'm just going to be out. But if I'm hoping there's an opportunity, whether it's Texas, Kansas, somewhere like that, to get
If
him in
we
a
keep
decent.
getting those 50 numbers that
Yeah,
open up in
40 to
Vegas,
50, I'll
like
be in. Even like
yeah,
35 at a good track, I could convince myself is the move. Obviously, need Larson. Ross was really strong. Started obviously 35th. He was pretty popular, but only 22%, which I thought was pretty solid for a guy starting 35th who we thought could do as well. And obviously, get to 7th, you're kicking butt. So the Alex Bowman sank us for sure.
man, if
Chase,
his car hadn't blown up, he was going to be
yeah.
good.
That's true. Chase, once again, average ass.
He
Just
sure was.
average ass. So let's look at Dega odds. I have a couple bets on the card, so we'll look at those here in a bit. But in terms of like betting this week, carnage is gonna happen, crazy shit's gonna happen. Make sure you're getting paid out and make sure you're not overexposing yourself. This is not the week to get heavy with short price guys, with matchups, with other stuff. This is a week to go. Who's some jabroni I like in the top Toyota market, top Ford market? Who's somebody whose top 10 price is actually good and not like 75th on the board and like 3-1. Like, no, you need to get paid out and make sure you're doing that. So Blaney 10-1 basically across the board, except for Rivers, where he's 9. His teammate Logano's right there. Brad's right there. Kyle Busch, Dennis Hamlin 16. Cindric, Byron, Larson, Chase, and then we get into 20s. So before we get to the 20s, you mentioned you're probably going to do it on the NASCAR betting preview show. Are you going to do it?
Well, I'm not going to add it right now just because it's going to be there post practice and qualifying. But yeah, I think Ryan Blaney will find his way on my card and personally some way, shape, or form this week. I mean, the guy's been so close so many times at these super speedways, and with how good Ford has qualified at the 2 super speedways this year, I kind of expect more of the same this week at Dega, where they kind of control the race for the most part during the day. And it's just a matter of not getting caught during a pit cycle with a rando caution or getting wrecked at the end for him not to be in contention late. So I think Blaney is obviously really the only guy that I'm interested in with. I don't blame people going to Austin Cindric. I wish his numbers were longer because he's also been incredible at super speedways.
Yeah. Like our favorite offshore is hanging at 18 right now, and I'm really tempted to fire on it because that feels like a good number, but it's still Austin Cindric, and like he could do the dumbest things.
And we've talked about this before at super speedways, 20. It's like that magic number, like 20 and above. I can be okay with placing a wager on that. It's hard to get down on those.
Yeah, I think what you do is you take like a fraction of your outright, whether that normally you bet $100 in outrights, maybe do $40. Pick 4 guys that are longer shots. I mean, you feel free to go all in on a Logano or a Blaney if you really feel it. But I'm a lot more like Brian, where it's like, give me some prices, give me a 6-pack of names, and let's just split this up and have fun, because that's what Dega is. It's a fun race.
Yeah.
We'll obviously check in post qualifying for DraftKings perspective, but in terms of pricing and especially in the outright market, unless someone like is like a rocket ship and they're like 100-1 right now, odds aren't going to move very much, if at all. I think Byron's fine at 16. I'm not betting for 12 or 14. I think Cindric is okay, but I'm not betting 16, especially if I can get Byron at 16, or Hamlin at 16.
Now there's going to be a lot of excitement about Willie B, considering in the next gen era, his worst finish is 15th, and that was actually the first race we had here in the next gen car, and it's the last 4 trips that we've taken to Alabama: 7th, 2nd, 7th, 3rd.
Yeah, that's why I was a little surprised to see his number price there. Obviously, back-to-back 500 winner, won at Atlanta. Like, he's good at fast tracks. He's good at speedways. He's compelling.
But it's Dega, you know what, man.
Brian? Like, he's going on the effing card. Brian,
William Byron, Kyle is
Welcome to the card.
Kyle is drinking the Kool-Aid this week. I just have a hard time thinking a guy is going to continue to back that up in this era of racing.
That's stupid. Like, the odds of it continuing is probably not super high, but I don't know. Welcome to the card, William Byron. Let's have some fun. I'm gonna put guys.
I mean, it's a better number than like Blaney. Like, especially if you're getting 16, yeah, that's way better than taking.
If he was 10 or 12 or even 14, I'm like, nah. 16, I'll take it. Especially with Austin fucking Cindric the same price, Kyle Larson the same price, Chase Elliott the same price. Let's talk that next range, because Bubba Wallace at 20 is also incredibly compelling.
And that's going.
Okay. It's hard. Like, you want to like I like to look at track history and like results and stuff, but like you can't do it here. You'll look at it.
I was just gonna say, Yeah, I don't do any. Okay, so weekly, I'll watch the last race that they came here. I'll watch both of last year's races or the previous race during that season leading up to a race. I go back and I look at track history and a whole bunch of stuff coming into an event. When we go to super speedways now, I don't look at any of that stuff because in my opinion it does not matter. I don't it it really yes we kind of already have an idea like who's good at super speedways.
Yeah.
But in the end, does that really matter when it
No.
comes to winning the race? No.
But I do like to look at our guy Ryan at Win the Race, the Ryans of the NASCAR data world, keeping us informed. Ryan at Win the Race has his true performance rankings. So when nonsense happens, it helps even on weeks where we're not at super speedways, good info to have. And iFantasy Race has a lot of good information about what happened, why the caution came out, why cars were running really well, and then all of a sudden something happened and they didn't finish as well. So utilizing tools like that is super useful in terms of
True.
figuring out, did they actually have a good day? Did they actually have a bad day? All that good stuff. So I'm gonna pull up the true performance over on our friends over at Win the Race. And they are showing value on William Byron, so I'm happy to add that onto the card. I think Bubba makes sense. I think his number is fine, especially if you got to get that 20 though.
Yeah.
It's far too common. Chris
Like I
Bell,
said, magic number 20.
yeah. Chris Bell, Chase Briscoe. See the
No.
hat.
This is a Martin Truex Jr. hat, by the way.
It says Bass Pro Shops and there's a 19. That's telling me I should bet Chase Briscoe too. See if I want to get that 30 though. Like I want 30 if you're betting Briscoe. Because this
Okay,
is a
here's the
short.
thing on Briscoe. He
What's the
needs to
thing?
show up with the Daytona car.
Yeah. But didn't he put it on the pole and then he just
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but then he Daytona'd his way out. Do we have qualifying odds by the way? I want to.
Oh yeah, no, I haven't. So they have Caesars has pole winner and they're crap. Now, mind you, with Briscoe running really well at Bristol, he's probably going to be going off pretty late here to qualify. And if they do bring a similar setup,
Yeah, he's a great Saturday car to back.
yeah,
Sunday not so much. Reddick, Ross, McDowell, Bowman, Stenhouse, and Christopher Buescher is kind of all the guys in that 30, 25 to 20 to 30 range. Obviously, Bubba's on the card. Is there anybody else on your short list to add?
man, I don't know if I can get down on any of these guys.
The Watermelon Man's calling my name. I haven't bet it. I haven't added it. DraftKings apparently still has a 28, which I'm going to look up right now. That's interesting.
Yeah, there's
See,
nobody
here I
calling
came
my
in
name.
going, I'm not going to add anything. I don't like anything. This is all these numbers suck. Here I am talking myself into crap that I shouldn't be betting.
Yeah, and this is what happens when you're up as many units as you are. So where it's like,
Yeah.
let me throw
Throw
some darts
caution to the
here.
wind.
But
Yeah, there is a 28 on Ross. I like that a lot.
yeah, I don't mind that.
You know me, Brian. I'm a sucker for when all the numbers in one range are 22 and I can get 28. I just see what's a guy like. I'm gonna take it. And so my my group, my six pack of drivers is definitely getting filled out. So I
Yeah,
found some nice numbers at FanDuel. We'll get to those guys here in a second. So you're not added. So you added Bubba. I added
yeah,
Watermelon Man. Should we move on to the next range? Is there anybody else
yeah.
you
Because
would
I'm
like
not
to
playing
be
any of these
considering?
guys.
Yeah, yeah. If you can get the 30 on Briscoe, I think it's fine, or even 28. Don't bet the 18. Don't bet 25. I mean 25, whatever. Let's talk some longer shots. Josh Berry, Todd Gilliland, Carson Hocevar, Mi Amigo, Tyrone, 40 to 1. Ryan Preece, 40 to 1, 50 to 1. Eric Jones, 50 to 1. I feel like we used to bet Eric Jones here at 50, and then he'd be like 35, and then he would finish 25th. Gregson, 83 stat. We'll save the long shots. Is there anyone in the kind of 40, 50 range that you're interested in?
So interestingly enough, I do like an RFK guy, and it's not Chris Buescher, but because of price. I would much rather bet Ryan Preece at that 50 than get Buescher at 30. I mean, when you look at their performances overall this year, Preece has kind of popped the most. Maybe not consistent wise, but he's got similar equipment. He's also a guy who's fairly successful at super speedways. He's famous for his multi
Yeah, it'd be
barrel
nice if he
roll.
could keep his wheels on the track this time. Like I know
Yeah.
what the last 2 Daytonas, dude's been upside down and all around. So it'd be nice if he could keep the car on the track. But yeah, I think especially at his price, like you're telling me I can get him at 50 or Buescher at half that or Brad K at a quarter of that.
Yeah,
Like I'm
that's
not
wild.
you can't get me to Brad.
No.
Buescher, if you want to twist my arm and tell me 30's fine, 30's fine. But I'd much rather, especially at Dega, give me the long shot in the same equipment we've seen be good. Obviously has to keep the car on the effing track, but 50 to 1 I think is a good number. And as we speak, Brian adds it to the card.
Yes.
This is what we do to each other. We get each other excited about long shots and back up our nonsense with thoughts.
Yeah, and full disclosure, like this is a great week if you want to just take the whole week off. Don't bet anything.
Yeah.
But if you do have like change to make it more interesting, I'm all for throwing a couple small play darts on guys. Makes the race that much more interesting.
Take $30, put $5 on 6 guys, 50 to 1 on $5, gives you something to root for. Have a few beers while you're watching the race. Maybe you have a few extra dollars as we head to Texas next week.
Yeah,
and if we
hope for
don't,
carnage at the end.
And if we don't, you lost $30. So let's talk carnage. Let's talk upside. Let's talk longer shots, because this is where I think the fun starts. And let me see. What book is that? Is that Fanduel? Yeah, that is Fanduel. Okay, so we have some fun to be had. Austin Dillon, you can get him 80 at Fanduel. Justin Haley, you can get him at 80 at Fanduel. Dinger, 66. Riley Herbst, 75. I added that to the card yesterday when numbers dropped. It was 175 is fine. I don't know that you want to get much lower than that. Ty Dillon also is on the card, also at 100. Grab it, run with. These are guys, especially Dillon. Ty Dillon is somebody who's impressed me a lot this year and has shown up at tracks where I didn't think he would be useful. And he's in a car that's not like a cement truck. Like it's actually a real car that they're putting, R&D into and giving him something each week where he can actually go pretty quick.
Yeah.
He's probably not going to win, but at 100 to 1, $2, $200 coming back to you, sign me up.
Dude, it's more expensive to go get a friggin' coffee at any coffee shop in America than it is to potentially win $100. And you have more of a chance of winning this 100 to 1 than you do at those silly pick slips at the convenience store of the lotto. So
take your $7 Starbucks, whatever, put that on Ty Dillon, Riley Herbst, Austin Dillon, Justin Haley. $2 here, $2. Like instead of you doing your $2 lotto scratchers or your whatever, a couple bucks on each guy. John Hunter, 85, 80. I think that's Is Corey LaJoy running? I saw Bob tweet.
He is not running.
Yeah, I'm like, what are we? I guess that's why he's off the board a few places.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah, I did see some people, obviously, in a couple Discords where he was posted at ridiculously long numbers, and they were offering cash out options on these for like small profits.
Hey, if I can give you money on a bet that's not going to have action and I get more money back, that sounds like a win to me.
I
Yeah.
mean,
So
the
Ty
only thing I
Dillon,
worry about stuff like that is the health of an account.
sure. But as I mentioned to you before we started, you take some NHL shot props, you take some home run
Oh,
picks,
yeah.
you find your way to kind of balance out the bankroll. So Ty Dillon, Riley Herbst are my two favorite options from kind of the longer shot range. Um, who's standing out for you?
Yeah, so I'm gonna play Ty Dillon as well. I did double check. Currently still available. Bet Rivers for 100. So yeah, that's definitely something I'm willing to put $1, $10. You know.
Yeah, and like so we'll show you the card here in a little bit, but like Brian, half a unit on Wallace, you know, 20 cents on Priest, 10 cents on Dillon, like a tenth of a unit, a quarter of a unit. This is what we're doing on a lot of these guys. So don't,
Yeah.
we're not adding them to the card and putting 5 units on them. We're taking our shots. Like I added Watermelon Man at fourth of a unit, half a unit for Byron, and then less than a quarter for Dylan and for Herbst. So overall, I think I have maybe I don't even like a unit and a half on 4 outrights. So think about that. Anybody else that you're considering? Maybe not betting them here. I'll flip over and pull up Caesars here in a second. But is there anybody else that you're like? But between now and Sunday, I could see myself adding to the card.
Maybe not on an outright, but one that I have bet both here and offshore for myself is Mr. Fast Pasta, fellow Paisan, Anthony Alfredo, top 10 at 6-1 over at Bet365. In the Beard Motorsports car, a vehicle that has, I think, a couple of top 10s in the next gen era, regardless of who's been driving it at these super speedway tracks. And Alfredo is somebody who's been really good at this type of racing, both in Xfinity and the Cup Series. So I'm going to take a shot at that, especially when the numbers are so much shorter elsewhere, as Kyle is showing here on Caesars, plus 250, primarily because that number got destroyed as soon as it got posted. But yeah, he's way better than a lot of the other back markers in this style of racing. So again, you throw like a quarter of a unit, or in my case, a half a unit dart on this at 6-1, and that's a pretty good little profit if it doesn't hit.
Yeah, I like that call quite a bit, and I'm interested in Ty Dillon. I'm interested in Austin Dillon, but I'm not betting 165 or 220
Yeah, hell
for a
no.
top 10. So I'm just not doing it. The placement market, I don't think is it. Maybe a top 3 or top 5, but I don't think that's it. I think the market we want to look at is manufacturer, because I think there's opportunity there. And I'll pull all these up. So I added one we'll get to here in a second. So we'll start with top Chevy, and actually that's where I got Ty Dillon at 22 for top Chevy. 22-1 for a top Chevy. You're telling me he's 2-1 for a top 10, which is a gross, atrocious, garbage number, and 22-1 for a top Chevy. Maybe he doesn't win it, but maybe he does, and maybe top Chevy is 4th or 5th or 6th. I
Yeah.
just need him to be the first of all the Chevys. Keep your car clean. Don't get destroyed. Finish 8th. As long as you're the first of Chevy, and I'm getting paid out 22-1. Is there anybody else? Fast Pasta at 65.
I can't get there with him on that. Like,
Dustin Haley at 25. Hocevar at 18. I don't
it's
think
just
that.
hard with Chevy because there's so many more of them.
Yeah.
Like, I almost think those numbers should be longer.
Right. But it's carnage and nonsense. So top Ford, obviously Blaney and Logano and Brad at the top. But then we have Cindric, we have Busher, we have Gilligang, we have Josh Berry at 15-1. We have Ryan Preece at 17-1. Ryan Preece is fun at 17-1. Young Noah at 25.
Honestly, Zane Smith right here at 35, that is
Yeah.
definitely something that is piquing my interest just because he's been pretty speedy this year. And we already saw Cole Custer. Was that Atlanta or was that Daytona? I forget which one, where he actually wrecked the front of the field, but he was there at the end. I mean, why not Zane Smith with how good he's been for the last month?
Yep. Yeah, it's almost more fun with some of these guys to just get exposure in like top markets and know that, well, maybe they don't have to win the race. They just to be one of the first of their manufacturer. Plus with Ford, it's a lot less people, but also you're dealing with Blaney, Logano, Cindric, Keselowski, Busher. Like there's a lot of names.
Yeah.
Gabe Gilliland.
Well, and then I think it's safe to assume the Penske trio is going to be up front at some point.
Yeah. We've seen the RFK boys do the same thing at speedways. So
Oh,
Toyota, we have Hamlin, Bubba, Briscoe, Bell, Reddick, Tyrone at 12.
no.
Riley Herbst at 22.
Riley Herbst at longer than 20 in this market for a manufacturer that only has 9 cars.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty damn good number.
Well, as
Especially
somebody
considering
who has who currently has him on the outright market, I'm going to supplement with a 22-1 because I think that is fun. And to your point, he has like a handful of cars to deal with compared to every other manufacturer.
Exactly. And he's been really good at super speedways and filling in the Cup Series before. So now he's in a full-time ride and he's going to be driving with his fellow Toyotas, hopefully not doing what Eric Jones and John Hunter Nemechek did. I believe that was spring last year where they took out all the Toyotas because they were bump drafting too hard. But
yeah, it'd be good.
Especially when he's 11-1 at BetMGM to be the top Toyota.
Yeah, that's crazy. See that, and that's really important to shop this week at ancillary markets because get in the right market on the right site, and you can actually find some value. Qualifying's over here. Let's see. Briscoe's 20-1 to qualify on the poll. Welcome to the card, Chase Briscoe. No. This is a fun week for poll bets. So Logano sucks. Cindric, no. Like, at what point, as I move my cursor down, do you actually get interested in betting any of these poll bets? Maybe Priest at 15?
Because he's not going to be going off super early. Not that that's really going to matter here, but
I think here it matters more than a lot of other tracks. Byron at 16.
I don't hate the Briscoe call because if they bring a similar car that they did to Daytona,
I thought he was going to be like 10 or 12. I figured he'd be up kind of in this range. And so when he's down here at 20-1, like I think if he's 12, 14, even 16, I'm probably out. But if I can get a 2 in front of it, I think I'm in. And I am. And I did add it. My card is ridiculously long, but it's also,
you only have 2.5 units.
Yeah, so it's fine. I usually bet that on one head-to-head most weeks.
Exactly.
Bubba at 25 is actually not bad. Is he qualifying early though? I can't remember what he did at Bristol because
he's probably going to be mid-pack.
I think he's fine at 25.
Yeah. I guess it's only Tuesday. I was just going to say it's strange that we don't have the qualifying order considering we had a full week off. But,
we're all. Well, and the other thing is some of these numbers have been out for a little while. Like some books had them out like even last week, so it's like hard to get it straight in your head. I think Bubba's fine. I think Busher at 33 is fine. He's probably going to qualify a little earlier than you expect. Ross at 35 is also really interesting. Let me see.
Yeah, because he's going to be going off late.
Bell's kind of interesting.
Yeah, but Toyotas haven't really outside of Briscoe and maybe Wallace. Oh, I guess Eric Jones. Well, no. Okay. So yeah, the front row of Daytona was Chase Briscoe and Austin Cindric. Can't look at the rest of the results because they do
Yeah,
the duel.
Ross has been like somewhere in like 19 to like 30 for basically every start except for one. So he's a no-go for me for sure.
And then when you go to Atlanta, obviously way different track style, but similar pedal to the metal type lap. 10 of the 11 fastest times Ford. Only Kyle Busch cracked the top 10 that was not a Ford, and he's a Chevy. And the highest qualifying Toyota at Atlanta was Bubba in 14th.
Tyrone started third here in 23. It's a lot
Yeah, but see,
yeah, you're right. You're
that was a
pointing out.
different body style for Toyota too.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Since the beginning of last year, Fords have like a monopoly on single lap qualifying speed at these super speedways. So I really think trying to cherry pick a Ford guy who's maybe going off a little bit later.
Can I interest you in Kyle Larson, who started 5th, 2nd, 9th, 4th, 38th, and 12th at
No.
15 to 1?
No.
Okay.
15 to 1? That's wild. I'd be more inclined to play. Hold on, I'm going down the list here.
I'm looking for a Ford that can get on board with. McDowell? No, he's not.
Chevy, buddy.
I know. I was just thinking that.
Yeah, they have the Fords priced up this week for sure.
They're smart. What about Ryan Preece? That's a Ford we can get behind.
He's a little short. I'd rather bet Zane
I don't know
Smith
what his
at
height
20.
has to do with anything. I mean,
I'd rather bet Zane Smith at close to 30 at 28. But even that number is not something that's it's not super enticing.
What about our guy Riley? Started 6th here in the front row car.
Riley Herbst? Yeah, he's in Toyota.
I know he's in Toyota.
They're doo-doo qualifying.
I'm grasping at straws, man. The Fords are all priced up. They're not giving us any value on Fords.
Honestly, it's probably going to come down to freaking Ryan Blaney and Joey Logano again.
What
We
about
all know how
Gregson?
that works, and then maybe Todd Gilliland.
Gregson?
What's his number? 20? If I'm going to bet anyone, I'm going to say this right now. If I'm betting anyone to win the poll that's a longer shot, it's going to be Zane Smith. But I don't know if I can bet Zane Smith 28 to 1 to win a poll. Because Cole Custer sure as hell ain't winning the poll in that.
What about Hosor at 50? He'll throw it into the corner. He might run into the wall, but he'll throw it into the corner.
No, there's no way Custer is going to do it. He didn't even crack the top 10 at Atlanta. He qualified 23rd in Atlanta.
Hocevar.
Nah.
This is what we do, folks. This is how we roll. All right. Anything else you want to look at?
Yeah, there's nothing, man. I'm not going to sit here and try to tell people or try to convince people based on
overtime plus 180
statistics.
That's interesting.
I don't necessarily think I like that because with the way that the super speedway package has turned into like fuel saving, and they wait until like the second to last lap, like with 2 to go, to make any moves.
Would it be cool if you could parlay all of these?
I mean, I'd be down to bet that for sure.
No on Keselowski, Hamlin, Logano, Busch, and Blaney. It would, yeah. I mean, the parlay would be minus 378, so it doesn't feel as good as it should, but
it's still minus number.
It's like almost minus 4 to 1.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Well, they're like minus 2,200, minus 3,500.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, I don't think there's any amount of research or talking that can go into this race, and you actually come out the other end and sound smarter when it at this type of racing.
No,
Oh, they have fastest lap.
they
Why is
do.
Brad Keselowski 4-1?
I don't know.
What the hell? Okay, since we're on this topic,
Chastain 26, Hocevar 26, Riley Herbst at 30.
man, give me freaking BJ McLeod at 50-1 riding there in the back. Just
Can he go fast enough to do that? Is he?
all he's
He's
got to do
basically
is get in the
guessing leg.
draft.
It was really funny to see the Xfinity drivers get legged. By the way, just random
God.
aside.
That was not her fault.
Okay. I mean, she's driving like 15 miles under the speed limit, but sure, yeah, it wasn't her fault.
William Sawalich saw her right in front of him. Like, you gotta hit your brakes at some point, homie.
Or you don't have like, why would you have a car going that much slower? Like she, I don't know, it
Yeah,
doesn't
but
make sense.
that's also honestly, I feel like that's also on his team and his spotter. His spotter
Sure.
should have warned him, you're coming into the turn, leg is in front of you, and she's down on pace.
Get down, homie, because you're about to get legged.
Oh man.
All right. Well,
And that's like the worst track to throw her in a car. It's a track
yeah,
that they hadn't gone to in forever. There's no really data on
yeah.
it.
It
You
doesn't
can't even
seem
sim it.
they don't really seem smart about the way they're using her. It's almost like they don't want her to succeed.
That's kind of what it feels like.
Why don't they send her to Portland and let her practice for like a week, and then and maybe the team doesn't have the finances. I
On
don't know.
that note, I'm excited to see what she does in Mexico.
Yeah, that's a great place for her.
Yeah.
Great place for her. Anything else, Brian?
No, it's Dega week. I'm excited to watch cars go around and around in a circle, fuel save, all the same
Yep.
shit we've seen at super speedways the last year plus. But yeah, don't get too crazy. Post practice and qualifying will probably be more of the same. May not
Yep.
be any ads.
Yeah, we'll be here talking DraftKings for sure. We'll see if we can't cobble together something.
Stack to back.
The newsletter will be out, so make sure you check that out. We'll have some grid rival picks. We'll have all kinds of stuff in there. Make sure you click the like button and subscribe if you're here and haven't done either of those. And let us know who's winning Talladega. Who's your pick? Are you going Brad? Are you going Kyle Busch? Are you going Ryan Blaney? Or are you diving to the bottom? Are you going with the Ty Dillon? Are you going Austin Dillon? Are you going Noah Gragson? Like, let us know. Where's the money going? Where's the heart going? All that stuff this week. That's Brian Twining. I'm Kyle Robert. It's good to be back. Make sure you check out our episode with Chris Wormy. It's a really good conversation. More of just to kind of, put it on the background while you're cleaning the house, doing whatever, mowing the yard. Some good NASCAR chat. Give us some feedback there for sure. We're trying to mix more of those in, but yeah, the time and whatchamacallit doesn't always allow for that. So that's Brian Twining. I'm Kyle Robert. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll be back Saturday night in your feed early Sunday morning. Get ready for Dega. And then it's on to Texas, baby, where Brian and I are ready to have a lot of fun there. We'll talk to y'all next time.